Well, today we turned it off because what we were finding yesterday was that it was way overloaded, as most of our systems were. In fact, as our system was just a few seconds ago, and we failed to get some of the profile names up. We often see these giant spikes when we're live, and we have to see basically the failure points when we're live. I think a couple more days and we'll be able to crush out most of those bugs. But the chat bug in specific was that we have a 24/7 moderation team in multiple languages, and they were moderating every problematic post. And then the moderation requests sat in a queue being processed on the moderation side and weren't happening for like 10 minutes, which is really bad for a thing where you want a message down in a couple of seconds. So what we discussed today was we're going to, up until we can figure out how we handle that moderation queue, we're going to limit the chat to stickers, and hopefully I can get the emojis in there too. But we weren't able to get that in for today. We should get that in for tomorrow. And at least we'll be able to return chat back to the box that it was supposed to be and let you guys do the full screen on it. Once we're back there, we're going to again work on the moderation. We had not just issues with removing posts and removing users, but we have this entire filtering system, and the filtering system was breaking in really weird ways. So like words that I put into the block list myself, or I confirmed myself that we're in the block list, we're still going through, and words that we didn't put in the block list were not going through, which is very confusing. But when you start to use some of these AI filtering systems, you run into trouble. I think we've seen historically that those AI filtering systems don't always do well. So we're going to probably move a lot of that more toward a standard blacklist. The problem with the standard blacklist, and the reason that we went with the AI filtering system, was that you could write a bad word and then put a space between it or multiple spaces between it, and the point of the AI filter was supposed to prevent that from happening, and clearly didn't. So it's not an easy problem to solve. We are going to keep working at it, as I said, tonight off, but hopefully back from tomorrow. If anything, it being off tonight, I think changed people's experience, and they better understood why everything is much more fun with the chat and seeing that community experience. And that's exactly what I wanted from the original design, was making it feel like Twitch, making it feel like a lot of the Asian streaming platforms that I spent a lot of time watching. But moderation is hard. It's not easy. We're not going to get it right the first time. We're definitely not going to get it right the second time. But there's a reason that this experience is going to go on for like 8 months, which is it's going to give us the time that we need to tune and make things perfect and improve them.
Thank you so much for addressing that. And one of the other big topics you wanted to address, and what we got a lot of feedback on, was monetization. So the question here is, if you could describe to the audience the intent behind the way Silent Hill Ascension is monetized, the feedback we received, and how we're planning to address that feedback.
So we're listening to everything and we're reading every article. I mean, the community feedback is very well heard. It's the reason that we adjusted the chat tonight. Let me start with the intent behind the monetization scheme. So first of all, as you saw yesterday, a lot of the team is ex-Telltale. Right. And so the team is very focused on storytelling and creating cinematics and animations. And you saw another about 10 minutes of cinematics tonight. We have that every night. We have that every night for the whole first part of the season, and then we're going to be doing our pseudo new game plus, the what if to unlock the other branches later, so you'll be able to see the rest of the content. But that's like 16 to 20 hours of cinematics. It's like 8 to 10 full Silent Hill movies worth of content. That's a lot of cinematics to do. So that's what we've been working on. That's multiple Telltale games worth of cinematics that we're going to be releasing, and the team that's working on that is doing God's work, right? So as a company, what our focus has been is create great cinematics and then make sure that that's as widely accessible as possible. So the app is free. The cinematics are not locked behind any paywalls, that as many people can access it as possible. And you saw a PlayStation blog today where they're going to be announcing a 24-hour exclusivity window on the full episodes that the community is designing. I can talk more about that in a moment, but we're going to be releasing it on PlayStation. We're about to release or announce another major streaming platforms that's going to be covering those episodes as well. And so the goal is to get tens of millions of people to be watching this content for free. We're going to be, letting people remix it and put it on TikTok, on YouTube, etc. You can't go and co-stream a Netflix series. They'll give you a takedown notice, right? They make their money off of those subscriptions. That's not what we're trying to do here. Again, the intent from everything was make the things that you can watch as free as possible. That's never been done in this industry. It's incredibly kind of generous and strange. And so what we wanted to think about, because we came to monetization much later, it was the afterthought of how we were working on it, was what was the most innocuous, easy to do monetization scheme that wouldn't allow, or wouldn't prevent us from making the streams freely accessible, from making the decisions freely accessible. And the first thing that came to mind was cosmetics, right? The chat is fun. I think people missed that chat tonight. And so all of the stickers, we've created hundreds of stickers and emojis that are going to be unlocked. And the season pass has got like 50, but in the free rewards that you get just by generating points each day, there is way more emojis and stickers. People haven't seen this. They haven't unlocked it yet. There are a massive number of free rewards that you're going to get to make your chat personalized and make your avatar personalized and everything else. And again, your avatar is the way in which you represent yourself in the chat. So again, all of that is completely free. And the intent behind the point system was you're going to be able to generate a significant number of influence points each day. The problem that we're running into right now is the way in which you generate influence points is by watching video. And, we're at 6 videos as of today. You've got the 3 from yesterday. You've got the 3 scenes from today. But what's going to happen really quickly, and this is what people don't understand about the economy yet, is we're going to get into the hundreds of videos. And so you're going to have a massive amount of points. You're going to have tens of thousands into the hundreds of thousands of points that you're just getting free by clicking on a video. You can click out of it after 1 second, you'll still generate those points. And so the economy is scaled to massive free inflation. And you're not seeing that yet because we're in day 1. The other places you're going to be able to generate influence points are through the goals. Just log in each day, solve a puzzle each day, right? Those are changing every day, but those are going to generate hundreds of points for you each day, plus the puzzles themselves. So there are 2 free puzzles every single day. And one of the changes that we made today that's going to be reflected, again, based off of community feedback in the next couple of days, is the entire back catalog of the puzzles is going to be available. And they were meant to be a bonus for the season pass and something fun for the season pass, but we're going to make the back catalog available. So that means that when a puzzle is in a free rotation, you can do the entire back catalog. All right, there are 2 levels of puzzles. As of today, there'll be 3 levels of puzzles for the ones that are available as of tonight into tomorrow. And that stacks. So again, a couple of days from now, you're going to have, between the puzzles that are available, tens of levels, all of which will earn you hundreds of points. And so again, like, our fear is very different, mostly because we understand how the roadmap is going, of like, we're going to have so many points available that it's going to lead to a very big economic inflation, and all of that free, all of those free influence points. But it's very starved in the first day or 2 because of the way in which the content unlocks. And so in a couple of weeks, when you've got thousands of points unlocking, you're going to be looking back at the days in which you were talking about the influence packs, which are really tiny things, and laughing. And that gets to the point about using those points to sway decisions. Like, well, if somebody buys millions of points and sways a decision, you can look at the leaderboards right now. You're going to see that the top, bids on most of these things are in the 6,000 to 7,000, 10,000 point range. Nobody's buying millions of points. That wasn't the intent behind the design. You can't even get to that easily. Like, you'd have to sit there and spam the purchase. The reason we put tiny packs is, like, if my goal was to make, people buy 1 million points, I would have had $1 million point pack and made it super easy for them to do that. That's not the way that it's designed whatsoever. It's designed to mostly be there if you were busy that week and you didn't have the time to log in, that you could quickly catch up. And it's an experiment, and we will adjust these numbers and we will change them. But I think it would be unfair to people to force them to go and spend tens of hours in a thing to have, the points they need. And so the audience who just want to be there for free can just be there for free. And the people who don't have time and are busy, just like any service product, have the ability to purchase things. It's very free and simple and like easily accessible. So it was very surprising to us because, again, it's innocuous. It's designed mostly to help people earn reward loops. You're not going to be able to change an entire decision with 20,000 points when the decisions are like 37 million on one thing and 15 million on another and 10 million on another. It's not the way it was designed. It's just not. And again, you can see that very clearly in the leaderboards. When you start to see people with leaderboard rankings at 1 or 2 million points, dollars to donuts, those people are cheaters, and we've got to figure out how they cheated in our system. They're not doing purchases. And if they do, we will rate limit them on the purchases. We're not going to permit it. That wasn't the goal of the product, right? The goal of the product and goal of the monetization system was make things as freely accessible as possible for a massive show.
Thank you very much for those explanations. And for sure, in Silent Hill Ascension, community is part of the product, and the references you mentioned right here, Jacob, a lot of those elements like Twitch and talking about the community affecting things, how it's not one person kind of swaying the decision, it's a lot of people. When you see those leaderboards, that's true, right? It's massive amounts of points, but the leader not so much relatively. So now community is everything, and the feedback is shaping the experience. Like, we're talking to you after very little, fundamentally not so much time has passed. So how do we actually look at that feedback, and how are we looking at the feedback, Jacob, in the sense of trying to shape the experience that the community out there, you, the audience at home, get to see?
Yeah, we're taking it all in. As I said, we're making a change to puzzles today. We're making a change to chat today. We're going to continue to adjust and tweak all of the points that we're generating. So you'll start to generate more points for free through the login and the goals and the other systems. We have an entire plan and roadmap on how to do that. So we're taking it all in. My request back to the fan base is, we're taking in your feedback. We will make those adjustments. Please don't assume like cynicism on our part. The people who have been working on this project, including you, Eduardo, have been working on this for years, right? It's a lot of ex-Telltale people. It's a lot of people who worked in animation and Pixar studios. These people have spent years of their life to create a television show that they're incredibly proud of. And again, if I wanted to just make money, I would have sold a $60 package disc or done $1 million IP pack. That's not the goal. The goal was to do as much as free as possible and learn from it and improve our other products. We're still a very young company. We are still learning. Now, most of the people who worked on this project were only doing DLC projects before, like fixed price package. We don't have deep experience in monetization. We are not great at it yet. We admit this. We will improve and fix it. But again, like the idea that we're here to scam or be scummy is just absurd. There is not a single conversation ever inside the company where it's like, how can we do as much as possible as grab money from people? Never. You can search our entire Slack records, you can search all of our different conversations. You can prove to that yourself, Eduardo. We never did that. And it's never been a discussion with any of our partners, right? The discussion always came back to, how do we make this as freely accessible and easy to do as possible? We'll continue to take in that feedback and make more free points available to everyone, because we want to get them engaged. We want to get them earning rewards. We want to learn, right? We've done a couple of projects in the past. We've learned from those projects. We're learning from this one. We'll get it better and we'll improve. And we've got many, many months to do that.
No, and thank you so much. And again, I know that some of the people watching us are watching in the form of, transform content on different streaming platforms, on Twitch, because you're with your communities. But we want you to feel at home here. Trust me, as Jacob was saying, I myself am constantly in discussions with the rest of my colleagues all the time. Like, how can we improve the experience? How can we make sure that today's live is good for the people watching it? How can we make sure that tomorrow's live is better? That was a big change. The puzzle's changing. I know Noah and who was before, was gushing about them actually as we were preparing. She was playing them while waiting for the show to start, actually, which is kind of fun.
I mean, the puzzles are very simple. There's a lot more variety coming in them. There's a lot more different kinds. We're launching with a couple again, and we're learning and we're improving. We're changing it over the course of the experience. But it's the same thing with bugs, right? You're always very buggy at launch, and you're very buggy when you scale to millions of people inside of a launch. And so we experienced massive spikes yesterday that up until you get the spike, you don't see where your rate limit is or your bottleneck is. And then you've got to get into live data. Literally, as the experience was happening just now, we were looking at yet another spike that was breaking the bidding services. It's like, okay, we're now rate limited in this thing. Oh, this is the number that we have to change to make it work for tomorrow. You won't find these things up until you do it live and you hit that scale. There's very few products that are hitting the scale as we did. Most of them had the opportunity to kind of slow burn and mature. We can't slow burn the story. If we went and we just like open beta tested the story, we'd burn the entire story by the time we were done with the beta test. So we have to do it live, as it were, and learn live. And there were a whole bunch more bugs tonight with video players not reconnecting and phones getting into spirals, and we'll fix that. Like, we're seeing the data, we're seeing the errors, we'll fix it, and it'll be better tomorrow and better tomorrow and better the day after. That's the way that a lot of these products will work, and we're absolutely going to get there because we want people to have the best experience that they can. Again, like the team's focus is make a fun show to watch, make a fun community, have people interact and engage with that community, and we need people to respond back to us in positive ways and assume positive things from us, because there is no conversation happening among these people who have come from Telltale and Ubisoft and Behavior and others in any other shape or form beyond that. Right? These are all people who joined this company and work with us as partners because they believe in the mission, they believe in having a great experience. They're there working hard because they love making the content and nothing else.
And actually, one of the highlights I want to point out is how global our development team is, as much as our audience is at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got dev teams around the world, right? We have teams working with us, Streamline at Malaysia, our Japan team, Konami, of course, in Japan. We've got teams in Montreal. We've got teams in the West Coast. We've got people in Europe as well. And so we're there. We're global. We're working incredibly hard. And, we're very sympathetic to a lot of the community requirements and desires and the need to be global. But we ask for patience because nobody's ever done this before, and it's incredibly hard. It is very complex software. We've got a real-time game engine running with live interactive streams at scale rates that very few companies reach. Yesterday, we were #1 free app in the App Store. We beat Roblox in one day. That's again, like, we're not, no one was prepared for that. And when we found out the pre-order numbers, which were X multiples beyond what we were expecting, we had a few weeks to scramble together what most companies take months to a year to prepare for in terms of scale. So a lot of the bidding system errors that people were running into, rollbacks, purchase errors, everything else, were a result of scale. Additional problems tonight, again, the result of scale. We've got new app versions rolling out in the next day or two that will address some of them, but there is a lag time. There's one other thing that I wanted to go over, which were the endorse streams, because people were pretty surprised by those. So the endorse streams are the streams that happen most days after the cinematic that you're watching. You saw Carl yesterday, you saw Toby in it tonight, you saw at least 1 or 2 cameos, though the others sadly didn't make it because the community didn't go past that. So let's start with the kind of goal intent behind the endorse streams, because we didn't talk about these before launch, and they were a surprise yesterday, and they were meant to be. When we were designing the experience, what was really important to us was people in any time zone can participate in story. And in order to allow people in any time zone to participate in story, we had to make every story segment available asynchronously to make it fair for decisions. And 2, every video on demand available soon after the live stream. And like, people were asking whether those branches were real last night or not. They're absolutely real. We have a group of people whose whole job it is to sort through the simulation, get the right recording out there, and post it afterward. That's a lot of content. We have one scene in week 4 that has 45 variations on that one scene. We have 1,000 different ways the simulation can go up. It's crazy. Like, it's all a massive branching narrative. And so we're updating these things in real time. We're changing these things in real time, but we need to make sure that it's fair to the people who are asleep in Europe or in other locations. And so we wanted to do these QuickTime events, we wanted to do these live events, but we kept going back to, but if story was decided based off of QuickTime events, it wouldn't be fair for people who weren't there live, because I've been very consistent. You don't have to be there live to experience the entire story and decision loop. We're opening up every decision loop. And like, we really did debate this. Like, there were discussions of the QTEs are more fun. We want people to be there live. Therefore, QTE should affect story. And I went, no, we're not going to do that because that's not fair to the others. But we still want to do something as a bonus for people who do show up live. And so we've got these indoor streams, which are basically Dragon's Lair, but played as a community. And so there are a series of rooms. We're planning about 60 different rooms at all that different characters will go through each day. And you'll see different rooms depending on the night. But more importantly, it will continue if the community is doing well. What surprised me the last 2 days was that the community has failed, because I had thought that the community would just crush it every night because it's a bunch of hardcore gamers and they're really good at playing, and these are just swipes. But we're seeing significant losses in the community meter, and you're not getting past the first block. There are 3 blocks, and so that experience can go on for 15 whole minutes if the community makes it. Now, my concern is that it's not a problem with the community, but rather we're getting rate limited by the sheer number of inputs that are getting in. I think that we weren't seeing the user profiles. You were seeing like generic names showing up during the meter tonight, which was again the case yesterday. And we were looking at the stats live as it was happening. Again, we were just rate limited on the player service, because what's happening is you're seeing hundreds of people's names spread across tens of thousands of others. And it was just a spike of insane API requests to Amazon, and eventually they just stopped taking the request. So I'm concerned that, again, the community failures have been scale problems, which we need to fix, and hopefully the challenges will balance out and we'll start to see the community pass those indoor streams. But again, they're fun, they're bonuses. They don't change the story decisions that you have every day. The one thing that the indoor streams do change is they have a modest impact to hope, which is a meter that someone today was asking us to explain more about. And we've been purposely kind of hiding a lot of how these meters work, because we want people to discover them over the course of the experience. But hope needs to be high enough later in the story for a character to survive, right? Fate happens over the course of a series, so it like accumulates and changes. But hope is a thing that we check, right? And if at that moment the hope's not high enough, the character is going to be killed regardless of what else is happening. But the good news is you can change hope just by playing the mindfulness puzzles, right? You don't have to be there for the endure streams at all. We designed the mindfulness puzzles in the Arcane Library to be representative of what characters do as hobbies to regain their hope. And so playing guitar, or playing a pocket watch game, or doing like a scrapbook puzzle, like that was the intent behind a lot of those puzzles. And if the community 3 stars them, the hope meter goes up. So you can fix hope just by playing those puzzles each day, and at least half of them are available for free without any season pass. I think if there's any one additional thing to add when it comes to how we're thinking about the overall experience in the indoor streams, is everything is a balance, and we're going to get that balance wrong right now, and we're going to improve it over the start and the course of it. But what's going to happen very soon is that these episodes that you guys are deciding, again, these are real branches. I think that there was a mistaken understanding yesterday that the community was going to be able to choose joy, not die. That wasn't the point of that choice. That choice was Rachel's choice, not Joy's choice. It was Rachel's choice, because what you're deciding on is what kind of person does Rachel become, right? And that's the case for all of these choices. It's going to change over time who these characters are and what they become. That's the design of the structure. That's how the simulation changes. But the choices that you make are going to be what results in those episodes that are going to be on PlayStation and the other streaming platforms we're about to announce. And they can never come again, and they will change. And from next week, it'll, the variations in the simulation stop being a 3-choice way, and you're going to get 3 choices, but those 3 choices are going to be based off of the previous week's 3 choices. And so it's going to be a 9 variation simulation. That's how we get to 45 simulations by week 4. And it's going to get more and more chaotic. And I really feel for the cinematics team was to produce all this, but you'll see the alternate branches in the what if run after we run. And to that point, I got asked over and over and over in the last year, what if the community kills everybody? People are trolls, they're going to kill the characters. Every choice is redemption. Every choice is, everyone wants the characters to live. It's exactly as I expected. Exactly as I expected. Please, guys, choose something different. Like, make it more interesting for the rest of the community. The thing that will fix this is rallies. And again, this is something that the community doesn't understand yet based off of the way in which the economy is working, because the rallies have been busted today while we fix the bugs in them. But the rallies are going to allow other choices with very few influence points to quickly catch up. And again, like, this is the reason that you buying a ton of points isn't going to help, because the whole point of the rally design is to make it fair so that you can start to get bonus multiples on choices that are way behind. So the way that the rally works is if a choice is way ahead, in middle, and third, the third choice starts to get bonuses applied to it when the rally is turned on for a couple minutes, and the community can work together. But even if somebody, for some reason, did this thing, you see somebody with a 1,000,000-point leaderboard, they could be overtaken within minutes. That's the goal of the rally system, is to make the whole thing fair to people, to make it more exciting, to make it more interesting for people who only generate a couple points a day. We have been all the time talking about how to make these systems fair, how to make them freely available, how to make them easy for people who just log in. And we're not quite there yet, but we're absolutely listening to it, and we're making those changes. We're going to fix the rally system. We're going to get it done.
I think that's a lot for the audience at home. Like, there's a lot on the systems they may not have been aware we've put into place. There's a lot of systems that we're planning to that we've improved, hopefully already, and that we're planning to improve. I guess so one of the big things is from my side is, what would be, Jacob, your message for the fan at home? Somebody who loves horror, who kind of wants to tune into the action, might be able to tune in live, might not. To that fan at home, what's that kind of message you want to leave with them?
Come in every day and change the story of Silent Hill. Like, this first week of Ascension is building up episode 1. And episode 1 in any horror television show doesn't start off, with complete chaos. Otherwise, you'd have no climax, right? So if you look at Stranger Things episode 1, you're just getting to know the characters. Like, there's like the Demogorgon dog, but like none of the really scary monsters are there yet. Things haven't gone to hell yet. They're going to get a lot worse next week. They're going to get really bad by week 4. And stay tuned for week 16, looks like. But like, we're still early. Like, this is a slow burn. That was the whole intent of it. If we did everything in a single shot, it would be super unfair. Because if you weren't there that day, it's over. But we're making it so accessible so that if you miss a day or two, you notice today several of those decisions won't close out for another 2 days. They were a 3-day decision, right? You're busy one day, you miss it, you still have the opportunity. Everything was balanced around fairness, and I asked for that you come in, give us a shot, be open to the fact that we are still learning these designs, that this kind of media format has never been done before in history, and that we're excited to tell the story that we're telling, because we come as storytellers, and we're still a startup, we're still small, we're still new, and we're excited to be doing something new and lead into the great games that are coming next year.
That's
the year after, and the year after, and the year after.
Well, and we hope for many more always. But thank you so much, Jacob, for your time with us here today. I hope you at home have also enjoyed this, that you've hopefully learned more about Silent Hill Ascension. All that said, I think, how about we close this one down? Jacob, I'm going to do a quick thing where we're going to talk about our next shows, because, again, we mentioned this a bunch. It's every day. So our production team's going to put the next show graphic on screen. But every day, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, there's the show every day. Now, we, myself, Noah, and as well some other lovely people do get to tune in a little earlier on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And this Friday we have, and every Friday, hopefully, we have special interview guests. This one will be with Stephen Bugay, Chief Creative Officer here at Genvid. I think that's it. And we got some mindfulness puzzles to do for you at home. Any last words, Jacob, or are we good to shut this one down for tonight?
We're good, guys. Have fun. See you tomorrow.
Perfect. And we're listening every day. We're trying to improve stuff. So take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night wherever you are across the world. Eduardo, Jacob, bye.